Hello friends and everyone, you're welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. How do you use MudBlazor in your Blazor, either WebAssembly or Blazor server application? So first of all, there are simple ways to do it, and the components are also awesome and interesting, and they are easy to integrate in your application. Let's have a look. We have the link, and that is www.mudblazor.com. When you go there, you're going to find a whole lot of documentation over this and how to integrate this packages, or how to integrate this component into your Blazor web server or assembly application. So let's get going. First of all, what you have to do here is we have to first create a Blazor WebAssembly project. So let's use Blazor WebAssembly for example here. So let's create a project for that. So we make sure we launch our Visual Studio. Now you can see we have a file new Blazor WebAssembly. We choose that, and now here it is demo. So let me give it a name. You can see the name is too long, and that is because we are going to use some two components here. Aside from using the MudBlazor, we want to use also Fluent Validator to validate our form, and that is what you want to do first. So let's click on next to get our project created. Choose the framework version of 7.0, and I will get this project created. So after this project has been created, what is the first thing to do is we have to install some package, because when you check the documentation, you can see we have the steps over here that is under installation. So we have to install this Blazor. That's a MudBlazor over here. So the first thing is this is a template, and we want to install this. So let's grab this, and we go back to our project. Right click on the go to dependencies, and now let's add NuGet package over here, and let's install, or let's paste it under the browse tab. Let's paste our MudBlazor. So that is this one, and what you do here is we have to install this package into application, and that is all. So after installing this package, we have to now register this or configure this by adding something in the program.cs file. Let's have a look at it. So aside from that, we have to import this into our razor.import file, or import.razor. So let's apply that, accept it, and now we are good to go. So let's go back to solution, and now you can see we have our import, open it, and let's import this here. So after doing that, let's see the next step that we can also follow. We have to add this script to that is CSS reference. So let's go to our index. So go to www. Now you can see we have our index.html. Now let's paste this here. Save that. And the next step to move here is to add our JavaScript. So you put that beneath our page, and that is the same page as you can see from here. We paste that and we save it. Now we are good to go. What is the next thing to do? We have to add this reference to initialize the project. So let's go to program.cs file and now add this. So these are the basic settings that you need to do before you can use this component of MudBlazor. Okay, so now we are done with everything. We are ready to use. Now let's explore. So you want to first use an app bar, and that's an app bar here. You can see very nicely designed. You can see we have a lot over here. We're going to just use one of these. So let's just grab the first one, and let's go to our project. And now here, where we have our solution explorer, you can see we have this nav bar. Go to pages, and even when you go to shared, you can see we have this nav bar. So this nav bar, we don't want this nav bar, so we can decide to clear all this. Now let's clear this rather, and now paste this MudBlazor here, the app bar. So after creating this is what we're going to do. We can decide to change the name to app bar instead. So let's say this is app bar. All right, so once you're done with this, let's see something. Let's go back to the main layout, and now in here we can decide to clear everything and leave this body here. So let's do something like, we have this, we have our main here, And inside this main, you see we have this, and let's paste this app bar. So that is a app bar. We can paste this here. And now beneath, we can decide to add our body tag. So that is a body. This works. So when we run this, let's see what we have now. All right, so you can see that we have our app bar, but the background is set off. Let's check it. So let's go back again. Now inside our index, you can see we have this bootstrap here. So let's comment this bootstrap. Now save this and let's check. So this is our page. Now you can see it is now reloading and we still have that. Now let's do it again and see. So the reason why we are not getting the color here, it is when you check the documentation, after adding this, we have to add this to, that's a theme. So here it is saying that add the following component to your main layout.razor notes. Okay, so note that the theme provider is essential for this. Now to do this, this is what you have to do. So we're going to copy this. That is theme provider, and also this dialog box or dialog provider and this snack and etc. So to do that, you just have to just go in there and grab all this. So you can just grab this. We go back to the main layout, and this is the main layout. So this main layout, and we have to paste in here. So here, save that, and now let's go back and check. All right, so you can see we have our app bar here. Now with this button, that is when we have a sidebar and we can decide to implement that. But for now, we are not having a sidebar here. So we can just go in there and now take that off. So to do that, go to the appbar.razor. And as you can see from here, we have this indicator. That is a mud icon. So here you can decide to get this off. And now when you save this again, check, you see it is off now. Now let's add some menus or some links over here for registration, because you want to click on to navigate to your registration page. So let's go back again. Now in here, let's see, do we have navigation menus? Let's show it up in here. So here we have a long one, but I just want to have links. So there's the link, as you can see, right click on this and now go back to open this and check this out. So when this page loads, you can see we have a lot of links over here, and these are the links that we can actually use. This is a default. You can see we have the body type 2 and etc. So let's pick just the default one, and now let's go to application. So in here, let's just paste it inside this. Okay, so you can see we have a default one, and maybe this is referring to the home. So you save that, and as you can see, when you check, you see we have the home button. It is button, but we are not seeing the icon itself. Let's say go back again, and here we have to specify test. Let's see if we can have test specified. If not, we go back to the documentation, and I can see from here we have to pass in the name in here in between. Okay, so instead of getting or finding the test attribute, we can decide to pass in this home here, and that is what's going to display it there. Now with this, let's check the color, because when you check this, the color is blue already. So you can see from here that the app bar has blue color, and when you check the link to, the link also has blue color. So you can see from here that is the default one. So we can specify the color for this, and let's see if we can have a color. So let's see, let's go to the page again, and now here we can have color. So color is equal to, then you can have in color dot. Now let's see, do we have white? So we have success inherit. Here is going to be the white one. So we save that, and that is what we see now. You see we have this home. Now you can also add one more, and that's going to be for registration. So in here, after you see we have this spacer, and now this is GitHub. So instead of using these icons, we can use this registration here. So let's take off this off, and now you don't want any icon. So you want to have a test, and on the reference here, it's going to be under registration. So registration. And let's have the test in here. Okay, so that's a mad icon button. You don't want the button, you want just a link. So you can just do that, and I'll set here to registration or register, and I will set the link here to registration. Okay, now let's save this and let's check it up. So you can see you have the register here. Okay, you have this register. Now if I click on register, it has to navigate us to this page. So let's have a look, or let's create that component quick. So we do that in here. Let's create our pages. We have this counter, so we can turn this counter to registration. So let's stop this, and now in here, let's set this to register, or even registration, and that is the file name. And now when you come here, you want to set the route to register. So let's run this. Now if I click on this register button, it has to navigate me to your registration page. And now here is registration, right? So it has to be register. So let's make a change to that. Now here it is register. So let's go to our app bar, and now here we say register. That's it. Let's see. So let's go back. And now let's click on it. So yeah, so we are in here, and that is it. So let's install one component. That's a one package that we're going to use for validation. I'm going to teach you the default way of validating. You have the 3 types. You can use, that is the inbuilt one. You can use the MudBlazor one, and you can also use another package. So let's try to install that package here. So I click on dependencies, and now let's stop that, go to NuGet packages, and now let's install Fluent Validator. So here, and we have to install Fluent. So let's see if we're going to have access to this package, and that's the Fluent Validation. Let's install this. And that is what we're going to use for our validation. So apply this. Okay, so it's saved now, installed. Now the next thing to do here is let's create a registration form. So when you go to the MudBlazor component, you see we have form here. Form is around this place. That's the form input. And now you see we have this grid hidden and etc. So if you open it over here, you have this nice form here, and maybe you can decide to use any of these forms that you want. Now you see when you check here, you see we have the form and you have its validation message. So if you want to copy it, you can just grab all this here. You copy all of these, and I go back to the page and I paste it over there. You're going to have exactly what you have here. But this time I don't want to do that. You want to just create our own and have a validation system. So to do that, let's see. Let's grab this form. So here you have to get this mat grid, and now you can use all of this to have access to the form. And at the form end here, you can see we have this button. We have all these buttons. So let's see. Let's grab this. Then we're going to make a change. So let's grab this. Now let's go back to our counter page, and that is where we have our registration. So in here, let's paste this. Okay, so we paste this over here, and now I can decide to increase the size a little bit. Now I could see that from here we have this. Let's do so. Control KD. Let's format this well. Okay. Now what you have to do here is, as you can see from here, we have a test field. We have a mat test field. Okay, and we have this. So you can see we have these are the divisions that we have here. Now you can see it is referring to a form, and we are not having the form here yet. And also we need these errors to bind this to. And as you can see from here, we have this as a validation message. So let's work on this. One thing also is to enable this or to simplify this. You can decide to let's get rid of all this. They're going to start from scratch. So we have to first create our model. So let's go in then and create a registration model. So we create a folder here. So we add a new folder. And at this folder, we're going to name it as models. So this models, let's create a registration model. And we say this is a registration model. So in this registration model, we want to have actually, let's say name. So we want to have, so string, and now here it's going to be name. Let's have email, maybe now we want to have email address instead. So email, we can have the next one as password, the last one as maybe confirm password. So string, and that is confirm password. So this is a model that we want to use for the registration. Okay. Now, when we come back to this registration form, you're going to first use math card. So you can use math card. Now with this math card, you can specify the width because you're going to span across the whole page. And now let's specify the width here. So we can do that by specifying the width as maybe 500 or 500 px. For pixels. And now inside here we can use math form. So math form, and now with this math form it needs some model. So for us to get that model, let's come down here and initialize the model down here. So at code, then we can talk about our registration model. So registration model, then so let's use this. And now we can talk about, let's say model is equal to new. Okay, so now we've called this registration model. And now in here, we can refer this to as. We can have a property model as, then can pass in this model. Okay, now aside from that, let's come in here and now let's have math card content. So math card can have content. And now with its content, let's first have a math test field. So math test field, and that is this one. So let's bind this bind value. Okay, so we have this math test field, and now bind value we can refer to as models.name. Okay, so once we have this, we can specify the next one. So why do you have this? We have math card content and math card field or test field. Yeah, so we have it written twice. Let's take one off. Okay, so now we have this. We can specify some few properties here, and you know, for this math field, we can have another property as. So we can expand this, and you're gonna have 4 over here. And now this, let's use call a method which points to this model.name. Okay, now let's use another method or another property called immediate. So we set this to true. So that is the validation process we are on it, and we are setting this to true. I believe this is supposed to be in double quotes like that. Okay, so let me put all of this on one line so we can actually see it well. So now we have this. When you save this and I refresh on the screen, let's see what we have. So we can make a duplicate of this so we can go faster. So click on this button, register, and now we have this text box. That's the text box here. So let's put it to the middle, and you can do that by specifying this grid. So maybe you can do something like, so div, they're gonna have class, so MD 6, they can have something offset 3. Then in here, let's paste this. So when we save that, let's see if we're going to push to the middle, it's still there. Register, that is where we are now. Let's check this again. So in here, let's specify div class row wow, so I have forgotten that here we have to use MudBlazor on class here. So instead of this one, using this column MD6, we can use something like MA. So let's use MA6, and that's a deflex, and justify as center. So justify center, I think so, and let's get to that. Yeah, so we are in the middle now. Okay, so now let's grab this. So we have the first one, that's the math content, and in that we can just make a copy of this. We have the username, let's copy this. We have email, password, and confirm password. So here it's going to be email, then password, and confirm password. So you can see we just fill code. You can see we have all that we need. You save that, and now when you check here, let's wait for this to refresh. Let's see everything. So save this. Okay, so we have it very displayed well, but we are not having label. So let's get into that, and the labels can be assigned here. So in between it, you can see we have label, and now this is confirm password, and here it is password. And here it is email address. And I have the last one as full name. So label. Save that, and when we refresh it, I believe it's going to work. So stop this, and I run this again. So register. Yeah, so you can see we have the forms over here. Now the next thing that we can do here, as you can see, we can increase the side, the bottom, and also when we check this, we want to add something like password. Because if I type in here, you see the text. Okay, so let's do that. So here it is name, here it is email address, and now this is password. And now this is confirm password. Confirm password. We save that. And in here, when we check this password and confirm password, you can specify this input type. So input mode, then let's have, at least supposed to be input type, not input mode. So let's correct it. And that is the input type. And here we say input type dot password. So we can just grab this from here. And now we do that, we paste it over here on the same line. Now when you come to this email, instead of this password, you can just take this, and I will say this is email address. Now when you have phone number, let's see, when you add another one, so let's go to the registration model, and now let's add something like phone number. So this is integer, and that is phone number. So when you save this, let's go back to registration, and let's try to get one. So down here, when we paste this, oh, so I didn't copy this. Let me do it again. Now, if you paste this here, and now here is going to be phone, because we have 3 phone, and here you can just type in, so contact number, you can just put in over there, and that is it. So here with email model.phone number, and now here model.phone. All right, you save this, edit this, let's open it, and let's see, this one hasn't taken effect, so you can do that. You can restart this, and it's going to work like that. Okay, so we are done with creating a simple form, as you can see from here. Now the next thing that we can do is very simple. We want to perform validation. So let's see. So we first have to go for button. Now when you check the documentation, we have buttons over here, and these are type of button that we can use. Secondary, we have this as secondary, so we can just grab this. And now with this button, you can see we have a lot that we can actually use for. All these are types of button that you can use. So this is a long one. So let's maintain what we copied. So down here, we specify or we paste it here. So we save that. And now here it is register. So the color here is secondary, and that's what we want to use. So register, and you can see we have this here. But I know when we have this, we have to specify, you have to put it down here, so it won't stack, as you can see from this. So we can do something like auto or class ml auto. Let's do it here. So with this class, and now when you check that, it has to move small. But you know, with the button, MudCard had its own place to put it, and that's called the MudCard action. So MudCard action, and that is this. So instead of this, just have to create this and now paste this inside this action tag here. Okay, now let's say it's supposed to come after the content. Yeah, so let's close this. So you save that, and I can see we have the button displayed. That's the register button over here. Now when I click on this button, I want to perform this registration. If this button were to be submit, in case we can have a type here, let's say you can see we have a type. Okay, so button type. So we have this button type, and now we can have this button type dot or type dot. Let's specify that if we can have this, so type dot, can we have submit? Okay, so let's see, and can you put in this submit? So button type dot submit. Now if I do this, then I can just submit this form. As you can see from here, I can submit this form. But before submitting, you know, when you come here, you can specify this. You know, we are submitting this, so here you can talk about, you can add validation rules and data annotation. So inside this form, let's try and see if we can add this data annotations or data. Let's see data annotations by data, and now it is on top here, and we have to also add validation summary. So validation summary. And you have to also add this. Now, if I click on this, what I have to do here is go to registration model. And on top here, you have to add this required attribute. So there's a required, you can just copy and now paste it across all the properties here. So you want to set all of them required. You don't want to leave any. So save that. Now let's see, if I click on this, you still have the same issue. Although it is submit, but it is submitting this. Let's secondary register. Okay, so click on register. Now see, we have this pop-up down here and it is saying unhandled error occurred. So let's go to the page here and I'll try to save this, save that, and I'll reload it again and see if this method is going to work. If not, then we're going to use another one that has been specified inside the content page. Now, if I click on this register, if I click on, you can see we even have a problem here. So it means you have to search for another way to make that work. Now, when you check the documentation and you go to the forms, you can see we can talk about validations here, and that is what, as you can see from here, you can specify this. But I'm not sure if this is going to help, because anytime that you want to have this one, unless you copy this, no, you want to create our own validation message or validation rule. So to do that, that is why we install this Fluent Validation. So let's go in there. And now what you can do from here is we can just copy some code from this angle. Let's see from this. Let's check it up over here if it's going to be pop up here. So let's create our own model. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy this. So with this required attribute, we can just remove it from the head of each property. Then let's make a copy of this. And now let's create a validation rule for this registration model. So we create a new item here. So add a class. And now here it is registration model, then validation. So in here, we are going to specify some few things here, and that is the first thing is the rule. So let's have our method created, and that is our constructor. So inside our constructor, the package that we install, that is the Fluent Validation, it enables us to use rule, and that is this rule 4. So rule 4. Now with this, we are going to specify each property. So we can paste this property here. That's what we copied. And now control period. Let's use the package that we installed. So let's check up first if the package is found under the packages. Like see, we have this Fluent Validation, and let's see. So rule 4, and we must have access to this package. If not, then we have to introduce it ourselves. So you put that on top here using Fluent Validation. We do that, and now you can see we have this rule 4. Now with this rule 4, we are going to specify some key values such as x max to x dot, and now here we are referring to a name. So you can pass in name. Let's see the reason why we are still not getting this. Whoa, so I got it. The reason why is we have to, this has to inherit from an abstract class, and that is an abstract. And now after validator, then you pass in our model here. So aside from that, you can see we're going to have this rule 4, and you're going to specify this name. So x max to this x dot. Like you see, you must have name from this model. So it is not registration validation, rather it's going to be registration model. Okay, so you can now have access to this name. So x max 2 x dot, it must have name. And with this, we can have access to dot. You can see we have a lot, not empty, not equal, not null, so not empty. And now with this, we are good to go. So you can just have to copy this and now paste it 4 or 5 times. I think so. So we can use copy this as email, copy this as password, copy this as confirm password. And now we have the last one that we need to grab it. I think for phone number, right? When we check our registration model, we added phone number, so we can just go grab that. And now in here, email and phone number. So they are all not empty. So it means you have to provide values for each for it to work. Now, aside from that, we can add a lot over here. Now, this one has its own message display. But when it comes to this confirm password, we can use not empty because you want to make sure it's sync with the main or the original password. So in such case, after adding this not empty, we can also add something like some message. This has a lot of messages. Default message, as soon as you do with, you can see with message. So you can specify any message that you want. By default one is going to have its own message. So let's maintain and see the default one. Now, when we come to the password 2 here, it has its own message that is going to be displayed. But you can also specify some few parameters here. And the first one is we can use dot minimum. You must have this minimum length. So we can specify minimum length of maybe 5. You see? And with that, we can specify with message. So all of these, you can see you can specify with message, with name, and etc. Let's maintain this with minimum here. So I want to put this on a line. I want to have a simple validation, and I want to maintain the default one. And you can see we can also talk about maximum length, and let's say 10. Okay. Now, when it comes to, we can also specify a lot, dot match. So dot matches. And now with this matches, we can specify something like, here I have to type all this. So you want to check from A to Z. That is from A to Z. And that's going to be for uppercase. Okay. Now uppercase, we have to add plus at the end. You make sure, don't forget that. And also we can also add with dot message, or we can just grab this dot match. And also we can just make a copy of this again, and I'll paste this here. By this time round, it's not going to be capital, it's going to be what? Lowercase. So it means you have to mix all these cases. You can't just be using only one. You have to mix up. And now 0 to 9, we can do the same thing. So dot match case. And now here it is 0 to 9. So 0 to 9. You see? And also we can use special characters too. So dot, we paste that. And now in here, with this special characters, it's going to take time because the other I have to type. All right, so let's see. Now I'm going to say that. First of all, you're going to have this symbol as at. And you're going to have this exclamation mark. Also, you're going to have this question mark. You're going to have, is it dots? Okay, so all these are special characters that you can use. And you can use the last one. You can use star 2. Now let's see. Yeah, so we have to use all this. Now, when we come to the last one, that is the confirmation message. Now the confirmation password, the confirm password, we want to say it is not equal, and it is also equal to, no, it is not empty, and it is equal to. Then you can specify here, we can use a discard, okay? Because you don't need an equal to or this max to, discard dot, and now you can pass in this password. This also has its own message, but all the time you can see you can just override that and now specify your own message. Now let's maintain this. So once we have this message set, This is our validation rule. Let's copy this. Let's go back to our registration model. So our registration page. And as we did for this, let's do the same thing here. So validation rules. Then here we can specify. Let's create something like this. Then equal to new. Okay. So once we specify this, it means we can now have access to our validation method. But you know what? In this, we have to copy some code from this MudBlazor, and that is this code. So when you go to the view source code of any form, you see this is a form that we are using. So let's see, that is a form here. So when you go back to this source code and I'll try to go down, you're going to see that validation message over there. So you can just go in there and now grab that. That is for MudBlazor. So that is this one. Just have to grab this, only this one, and I come to the page. And we have to, yeah, it must be here. So we are calling this method. And I think this will work now. So good. Now let's run this. Whoa, so it is saying that this other model could not be found. And do you have any other model? Wow, so that's going to be the registration model. So you have to make this change here. You know, this method was meant by the MudBlazor. So you have to go in there and grab this method for validation. And now you can use it and you move on. All right, so let's click on this register button. And we are in here. So if I decide to type in a name, something like this, and now if I go back, you see I have this here. So name must not be empty. And if I do the same thing to email and I go away, now let's see. So here, this is supposed to be the email section, and let's see, for this it shouldn't be empty. Okay, and if I check this contact number and I go here, it shouldn't be empty, and now this too shouldn't be empty. Okay, also this should be empty. So because you have all these red lines here, but you know, when I type in email and I do not add this @ symbol, you can see it seems it is okay. But although you must have this @ symbol over here, you see from here it has. So it means we can create this here. Let's see how to work on that. So let's go to the model and try to initialize or add this required or email attribute here. So let's add this email attribute, email address. And now here we have password and etc. Yeah, so you want to keep that. And add this phone number. So for only email, you want to do that. You want to make that check. When you go back here, and now let's try to write in A and I move it. You can see from here, A field, the email field is not the valid email address. If I try and type everything, you see it tells you that the email must not be empty. So in this case, you see ours is now working and validation is working now. So yeah, you can decide to add a title here. Let's do it quick. So let's see how you can do that. Maybe you can add something like a chip or etc. So let's see. Now when you go back to the page here, on top of this registration page, on top here, we can add something like, so mud chip. And now with this chip, we can talk about registration page. So account registration page, let's add that. Now save this, and now when we check the page, do you have it? Yeah, so we have it over here. So it has to move it to the middle, and let's do that. So instead of putting it over here, we can just put it, if you put it inside this form, this card, and now after putting this into this card, let's see the display, it has to be inside this card, but you want to maybe set the color of this. So let's see if we can have, test color. So let's see here, if we have color, okay, then you can have color dot. So color dot, then you want to have something like primary. Okay, and maybe you can have this MA6 to the middle. Let's see, so let's edit this, refresh it, click on this button. Okay, so you can see we have this account registration page. So I can now go in there and I'll try to fill in your account or pass in something and now move on. That is it for this video. I believe you guys enjoyed it as I enjoyed it with you as well. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up if you think what I did, you're okay with it or you like what I'm doing. Okay. And I'm going to explore more because we have a lot of components in MudBlazor. We have Syncfusion, we have Teneric, we have Blazor. We have a lot of components, and I'll try as much as possible to go through them one after the other so that you may have at least some basic knowledge in implementing them in your application. Thank you and take care of yourself, and I'll catch you again in the